Hello again and welcome back to Module 3 of the Microsoft Project course. In this video we will finalize this module by looking at project properties, information notes and some other details. So which will just show you a couple of things about the things we already did with the plan of Mr. John for whom we were making a plan to build a storage. So let's pull up the plan. And here in the previous video we showed how you can look at baseline and the deviation from baseline using the tracking Gantt. So let's go back to the normal Gantt chart. We can view our normal plan the way it is. So project information. So you can view information on every tax on your plan by moving to that tax, for example, cement, and you can click on information, or you can double click on it. So let me click on information, and a box comes up that shows you a couple of things that has to do with the tax cement. For example, it's not yet started, it's 0% complete, duration is 1 day, priority is something different, which shouldn't bother about it now. It's auto scheduled. This is when it starts to finish. And you can also say display on timeline. Let's say let's do this and let's say okay. And then you can see things somewhere there. So if we go back to wood, this time let's double click. And we say display on timeline, and then you see woods. So you can also do the same. Let's see if I select 2 and I say information, it doesn't necessarily tell me anything, but if I say display on timeline, yeah, it also tells me that, but I would go back and do that here. So let's keep on 1. Let's take this one up a little bit to see a bit more what we do. So electrical, I double click on it and I say display on timeline, and it shows here. And I think basically you can do for all that and just show a timeline of it where you see all that information. So if I double click on mix the cement, so I see the information regarding it. But my point is I want to show some other things. So predecessor, you can also see which is the predecessor, and the relationship between the predecessor, that is between mixed cement and milestone ready or electrical, is that this should finish before mix the cement can start. Now this reminds me of something we missed in the last video. So what I will do is go back. So the predecessor here is 7, but I would go back. And I would, because we added a milestone here, it's always good to also put the milestone there. So the milestone is 8, so I would click inside and add 8 as well. And the same way I can change for things that have a milestone. This one is 12/7, and I can say I want to include 13, which is a milestone. So to include the milestones as well, because we added a milestone after the linking, just to be sure we can take care of it. So save the file. So let's pick install roof. Let's see the project information. See the predecessor. There are 3 predecessors described. The same relationship. It takes 2 days to install the roof, and resources assigned are here. We didn't do anything about cost yet. That comes in the more advanced stage, or cost, where you can deal with all kinds of cost related things. And advanced shows you some information regarding the constraints you want to have. These are also for advanced learning and really playing around. And also there's no calendar shown, and this is just to show you around. And I can add some notes. Let's say the roof, so I can say make sure it's not delayed. Now I can say okay. Custom fields, this just for you to see, nothing much there. So if I say okay and I look at the side here, this is the note I added, and see, make sure it's not delayed. So project information basically show you a lot of things about tax and what you've done, and you can also change that. So if I go back to install ceiling, I go to the general information and I say I want it to take 3 days, I can increase this to 3 days. And I can say okay. And there it changes to 3 days. So you can also play around with each tax using this information on their properties, and that's what you can do with that as well. So this is basically using information. Another thing we want to talk about here is adding an additional column. So let's say, for example, you want to see, oops, minimize this, you can add another column. You want to see completion rate. So you can right click and you can say insert column. And here you can say percentage completion or work complete, depending on what you want to do. And there are many things to use here. Okay, so depending on how familiar you are with it, Microsoft project is really vast in a way that you can do a lot of things. And depending on what you do and your experience level, you can play a lot with all these things. So here we're just going to put percentage complete, and if we go back to one of the tags and check the information, you can see percentage complete. Let's say we put 15%, and we say okay, and then you can see that. So in different companies, there are different things being used such that they can put more columns to track each tax in a way. And if you look on the Gantt chart, you should be able to see that, but yeah, we'll need to maybe display it. So information doesn't say anything. You can say add the timeline in that way. Yeah, and these are things you can do in that sense. Okay, by putting a percentage completion of 15 for this tax, it says that the overall building tax, which this is one of the set of tax, brings this to 9% of 100. So, and these are things you can take note of. So a number of set of tax affects the completion of the overall tax here in this sense. So this is where we will stop when it comes to information and properties. You can also play a lot yourself. Maybe before we go talking about completion, if I go here and I think I can also use this, say 25% complete or 75% complete, and then you can see the darker line in showing how much percentage completion that has been done compared to the actual work, which is the total line. So these are many ways to play around with this, with project information. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next video.